here in The Cut, we challenge our guests to finish a tub of ice cream before the end of the conversation. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. We are here at the Cool Table. My name is Adriel Smiley, a.k.a. Adriel Smiley Official, a.k.a. AdrielSmiley.com, a.k.a. The Godfather. Now here in The Cut, we challenge our guests to finish a tub of ice cream before the end of the conversation. We are here with the legendary, and I would say a friend and family of the show. Your tie to the show is a very unique one. Here with a double disc on the way, Domanique Grant. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So let's start with talking about the ice cream that you chose.
This ice cream. So I wish I had better manners, in which I saw apple pie and I was like, I'm just going to open this because apple pie, first of all, big shout out. The company is Eva's Original. Apple pie does something where it like triggers my inner child. And it brings me back to every holiday where we were just given all the sugar.
Yeah.
So I have no boundaries when it comes to eating apple pie, anything. And so this is a bit of a trap, but it's delicious. And I'm really excited. And I will try to finish this, but
I always like to lead with love, but I will say Domanique is a cheater because she already started. So I want you to show the camera how much you've already had. You know,
this is judgment.
I'm all about
come here to be judged.
I'm all about forgiveness, do your thing, but cheater.
I started. I'm sorry, but not really, because I'd do it again if I could.
So we're gonna try this new thing with taking a picture.
Okay.
In the show. Let's see if we can get this off.
Let's find a cute pose.
Might be a timer.
Little countdown.
No, I think it's a timer for sure. Let's just hope I got that.
What's the countdown? We're
40?
There's no ticks or nothing.
Okay. See, I'm gonna put it down and it's gonna, hold on. Okay. Let's try this one more time. Technical difficulties for everyone who's listening audio. This is why you watch us on YouTube. To watch me struggle with the camera. This is why. All right. Still not. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to sneak a picture while you're talking at one point, and hopefully I'll get this to work, but we'll get to that in a second. Now, by the time this comes out, the album will be out. The EP? Is it double EP or double album? Let's get it straight.
It's a double EP.
Double EP. The EP will be out, so everyone will have heard the songs that I'm talking about. Now, first half is Queen. Now tell us about that. Now, from knowing you, that's not hard for me to see why that title makes sense. But for those who don't, let them know why Queen is proper for the first half.
Yeah, I mean, for so long, I've heard people talk about this thing. They're just like, claim your crown, self-love, worthiness, and I've always been like, okay, that's great. I think we're all working toward that. But like, it's a little complicated unless you just grew up in a space where, you just had it, simplicity was your life. I mean, every day it's like a work in progress to feel worthy and to feel confident and to push through all those things. So first of all, the EP is called Queendom/Queendom, and chapter 1 is Queen, but it's really just about my journey to authenticity and just pulling back those layers and learning forgiveness and learning self-healing and all the things that take you years to learn in order to actually be able to stand in your truth. So
yeah, all those things that take so long to learn. I think it's a two-part process in this way. There's like realizing that they're there, or like that the way that you're thinking that you're not wanting to think. You're like, this is how I want to look at myself, and this is how I am right now. And it's like, how the hell did we get here? You have some crazy lines on this album, which I don't want to kind of blow up your whole spot, but I think this is a perfect place to start because this was going to be the end of my questioning, but you're leading me right here. Let's just take it there.
We'll go there.
On moving on, you say, pack my shit up, left at night. I just want to stop right there. Tell us about that.
Oh, Lord. I dated not the best. Like, I thought I knew. Okay, so first of all, let me back up. I'm the person who, like, spends a lot of time working on myself.
Mhm.
You know, I spent the years traveling, meditating, doing all the things I needed to do. And then I met a guy. I was like, okay, cool. Like this is great. And at the time I thought he was the right one.
Mhm.
Um and he just like switched. Like our breakup was ridiculous. Like it went from like lovey-dovey to just like I don't see myself in a long-term relationship. Like it was a little crazy.
Damn.
And yeah, and I like when you start to sense that there's something wrong in a relationship. And so like I kind of went over to see him to figure out what was going on. And he
Mhm.
just was a completely different person. And it literally ended in the span of like a 20-minute conversation. And I just remember being like, should I take my stuff? And I ended up taking my stuff and leaving. And so it was one of those relationships where like you realize you're like, oh, I was just
Mm.
dating a child. Like,
Damn. And
yeah.
and and the abrupt end too. I know what you mean. It's like you know something's wrong, but
Yeah.
you don't think it's like the end right there that second.
No.
And then all of a sudden, it's like life's different now.
It's, like, over, and it's like, "Oh, yeah, I guess I should take my stuff too," and, "Oh, yeah," like yeah, and so the duh, I think back to that, I'm like, "Man." I'm like, How do you pick like, how did I pick this? Like, what?"
No, that's what it is. I'm gonna say like this. The listen. Selfishly, I love the trauma for the music because I like the song moving on. So
Mhm.
selfishly, I love it for that reason.
Yeah.
But when you look back at some of the choices you made dating wise, you think to yourself, you're like, am I really that smart? Like that's really what it be sometimes.
You know what, though? I listen to my Oprah, okay, because I love me some Oprah, I love me some
Hmm.
Super Soul Sundays, and I can't remember which episode it was, but they were talking about the fact that we are always dating a reflection of ourselves. And that was I think that was the hardest for me is I was like, this person is like not secure. They are doing
Hmm.
childish things, but I attracted that, you know?
Oh, that hurts.
That was the thing about it that it's like after the breakup happens and
Hmm.
after like they don't message you for 3 months, then all of a sudden message to get back together and you're like, "Man, child, go away." You know? You realize you're like, "Oh yeah, like I was probably a little more insecure than I thought and
Hmm.
I for some reason needed to date someone that I thought I could fix." Like these are things that I am learning, but
That one hit me in the heart. To say that the person you're dating is like a reflection of you, for sure. That it's true, and I think that's what makes it hurt the most is that there is some truth to it. Here's the thing. I wanted more songs on Queen because I feel like you're talking some real stuff on a lot of these songs, and I feel like there was way more topics for you to get into. Maybe you get into them on Dom. I have yet to hear it, so I'm assuming you do. But I feel there's a lot of topics for you to get into because you opened up like I won't say a can of worms, but a can of love. We'll call it a can of love. On Real Me, it's about self love, and you said you know, what I want to know what you learned about yourself that inspired that song because there's a like you said the song is an apology for all the things I know that I will do. So like, what inspired you to think of the song in that way?
um so most of this album started at a point when uh I had just kind of like hit a rock bottom, got out of a
Hmm.
relationship, um, got tired of like living in my mom's basement and was like, okay, this can't be my life. Had a bunch of things moving for me in music, but was still kind of working a part-time job and was like,
Hmm.
okay, so I think that I was just at a point where I started to realize that I lived this in this reality for a while where I just thought everything was happening to me and that it was everyone else's fault. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. I am not perfect in relationships and I
Hmm.
do a lot of messed up shit. I do a lot of insecure shit that I shouldn't be doing. And you find ways to justify it because you're like, "Oh yeah, like I'm positive. I give out light and love all the time." But then you're like, "You just did something to make someone jealous because you needed to feel a little more secure. You need to check yourself." And so anyhow, Real Me is about that. Real Me was just me being like, "Okay, you it was actually there was a point where I realized that a lot of the guys that were around me,
Hmm.
they were supposed to be friends, but I
Hmm.
started to realize that they were all kind of around for years because they were all hoping that something was gonna happen.
That's wild.
And a lot of them got angry at me, and it was all in the same year of everything, and they started talking about these things, and so I'm kind of all over the place about it, but Real Me was just about a combination of, like, things in relationships that I realized I was doing,
Hmm.
insecurities, but also just being like, "Oh, yeah, like, your relationships didn't not work out just because the other person was trash, it was also because you have a lot of things that you need to work on,"
Hmm.
and it was kinda just like, if I show you who I am and you see all of me, my insecurities, my confidence, me standing in everything that I am, like, will you still be able to love me? Because I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who's just gonna, see me glamorous and see me happy and see all
Mhm.
these things. And then when it comes down to needing their support, they're not there. And I'm a Leo, right? So I hate to put this on zodiacs because a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, Leos, this and that. But like I'm a Leo Cancer cuff sign, and I am someone where when I'm in a relationship, I really give everything and I
Mhm.
really, really like to love, but I also love to support people. And so real me is also just like, if I show you all the broken parts of me and I'm always there to support you, are you gonna be there for me during the moments when I'm actually courageous enough to let you see my broken, you know?
Mhm. Mhm. And I think too, like those times is I think what someone's real character is. And that, at least personally, that's when I'm most disappointed in myself is when
Mhm,
something is like going wrong or not going well,
mhm.
and I do something that I'm not proud of. Like that to me is like what you're saying. When it's not going the best, are you gonna be able to be there and can not be your best self because not everyone can always be their best self, but at
Mhm,
least be there and be accountable. So real me, I really hope that people kind of get that from the song. I feel like the song is kind of it's just so enjoyable to listen to that you don't think like what we're talking about right now is not what you think of. I think when you
yeah.
hear the song, but I hope that there is like a way people can get that because I think that journey within yourself is like understated, understated, especially in relationships. Thinking about whose fault it is because when things
Mhm.
end, it's like almost like a movie. There's a narrative and a story of what it is, and it's like that can be a
Yeah.
part of how you feel too.
And there's like the villain that you need everyone to validate is the villain, you know? I also want to give a huge shout out to Jarrell the Young. He produced it. So proud of him. He was just nominated on Drake's recent album. And Kiki Rowe, who co-wrote Real Me. So big shout out to them.
Big shout out to them. Before I get into more of the album,
Mhm.
you've done a lot of things. Like you've done a lot of things. I'm saying to listen to me. You've already had a historic career up until this point already with a lot of things that you've
Oh,
done and people that
thank
you've
you.
helped. So, is there anything that you are the most proud of out of all the things you've done so far?
Oh, hard question.
I got her. She's stumped.
I don't know. I mean, I would say that I am one of the things that I'm really proud of is being able to continue giving while I'm able to be an artist. And I
Hmm.
just say that like I've been so blessed with, getting support from like I have a program with
Hmm.
RBC. We like literally just like sponsor young kids that are in like foster care and housing, you know?
Hmm.
And I know it's maybe not the answer that people want to hear because it's like, oh yeah, like it should be about your music. But it's like actually like I think that our lives are really measured by what we leave behind and what we're
Hmm.
able to do for others. And that's kind of how I was raised. And so I think I'm the most proud of being able to build still being early in my career, being able to build music, but also being able to just like welcome other people into like growing and being wonderful. I'd say the second thing that I'm proud of is that I have stayed true to who I am. I haven't had to, create a ton of music that I don't love and put it out. Like I've stayed true to who I am and I've continued to follow my own process um and so I think that that's maybe those are two.
So I like those too. I like those. It's like we're leading into some of the questions at the end. Talk about top five Wednesday wisdom, but I think you saying that like you still being yourself is a huge one because something I've realized, especially as you get to meet more people who are like doing big things in their field. That person is still that person.
Yeah.
And to what it feels like to be them. Obviously, you can't always be in someone else's shoes, but I always think to myself, Drake looks like he's having fun. I hope it feels great to be Drake. It
Yeah.
looks like it,
Yeah.
but I hope that it actually is
Yeah.
that fun. So that's something I think about a lot when it comes to artists. That it actually feels as fun as it looks. This is another quote you had about the project. This is a great one. This might be something someone got to get tatted or on a T-shirt. You said, "I want to create music that reminds people to be authentic." What makes you think people forget to be authentic?
Social media.
Mm.
It's like social media has me feeling like I don't wanna be myself sometimes. Like, I'm just like, "Ooh, maybe I need to do all this," because it's working for all these people. Literally, like, everything today tells us that we shouldn't be ourselves. People make a lot of money from a lot of products by simply
Mhm.
wanting to be someone else, and so I feel like everything tells us that we shouldn't be ourselves, and, um it's like an active process of making the choice to listen to yourself when someone's telling you to not listen to your instincts, just as a like a more of a reflection or reflective idea. It's like people are always telling you that you should listen to other people. People are always telling you that you should be like other people. And
Mhm.
then you're just filled with all the visuals on TV and seeing other people thrive and all these other things. So I just think everything tells us that we shouldn't be who we are. And if we do try to be courageous and be ourselves and we don't have a million followers, then we also feel like it's being validated that we're not good enough. And
Mhm.
so I think it's like it's a tricky thing. It's a tricky process to like choose to wake up and to be like, "Oh yeah, like today I'm going to wear my hair like this and today I'm going to dress this way and today I'm going to post this photo this way and today uh I'm not going to work 18 hours, but maybe I'm going to do a self-care day because, I
Mhm.
need it." It's just I don't know, man. I think everything tells us that we shouldn't be.
I know I thought that for a long time. Like when
Mm,
when I was growing up in high school, I never said this on the pod before.
mm,
I literally thought that people liked people who were inauthentic.
right.
I thought that was a quality they were looking for. I would see a dude who I'm like, he's not even being himself. He's doing a bad job of trying to be that guy who's trying to be that guy.
Right.
And I thought, oh, they think he's a good actor. They like that he's putting on a role.
Yeah.
I thought that was what you're supposed to do. And it's funny because when you like see things that are don't seem authentic or someone doesn't seem authentic and
Mhm,
it's embraced, you know, if it feels like, okay, so being authentic doesn't carry the same weight as it did before. So
mhm,
it's like the music that reminds you of that, I think is like some of the most important. Like some of those like it's kind of what made Kanye West so popular is his music was about being yourself that
mhm.
may not be, what's popular right now. So I think that like that idea of trying to be authentic, we have to figure out a way to fix that.
It's also tricky too though because it's like you also have to like not be careful, but
Mm,
people wake up and they'll be like, "I'm just gonna be real," and then you run into those people that are like, "I'm real, and I'm gonna like blast my music on the subway so everyone can hear because this is real."
not that
It's
kind of real.
yeah, and I know you're not referring to it. It's just it's like there's like two sides of the spectrum where it's like there's like a peaceful medium where and I literally just made a really great question about like a personal
Mhm.
experience. Like I was literally on the subway the other day and this dude was like just doing all the things. So that literally that random example was because this happened a couple of days ago. So literally that's where it came from. But yeah, I think that it's just about finding the medium in regard to you do have to ask yourself, but you also
Mhm.
have to make sure that you're not really pushing to make everyone know that you're just trying to be real. You're just like
Mhm.
living in your truth and you're being who you are. And it takes work. I don't, it's not easy for me. Like it takes a
Mhm.
lot of work to wake up every day and to be who I am and then to be confident in who I am and then to make people believe that I'm confident and then to believe it myself. There's a little bit of a process, but I get to it. So,
Yeah, I think what you said about that fine line is like a good gem because you still want to grow and get outside your comfort zone to grow into the person who you want to become while still staying yourself. So there may be times you do things that may be outside of yourself on the way to becoming the person you want to be. So it's like that find that line of authenticity. There we go. That line of authenticity in between that.
mhm.
Now we're gonna get to the nitty gritty. We talked about this before we started, before Dom already started cheating.
Oh, God. Here we go. He's about to go in.
You grew up as a Seventh Day
Mm.
Adventist, and you talked about realizing some of those behaviors from the way you grew up. What behaviors are you referring to that you kind of noticed in yourself as an adult that you saw that came from just how you grew up?
Yeah, well, like first, just to
Mm,
give everyone some context. So, I grew up with two sides of the coin. My mom's side was Seventh Day Adventist Christian, and then my dad's side is Muslim, but not just like I have to be very careful about my language around it because there's everyone is different about their level or their commitment to their religion or to how they actually practice their religion. And Islam outside of North America can sometimes be very different than what it is in North America, in which like when you're looking at Dubai, when you're looking at
mhm,
Saudi, when you're looking at all these places, it's very strict. And so I have family members that are in countries, that are outside of North America. And so that practice was like when I'm around my siblings, I can't even wear tight clothing. Like I have to wear loose clothes. I can't play music. It's like a very different process. And so I think the one of the biggest things for me, I developed a problematic need to try to save people. that was to my detriment, where it was like, oh yeah, kindness is above everything. So you always have to put other people first. I think that
Mhm.
was one. But one of the biggest ones that really, really has been a huge process for me to overcome has just been shame. Shame is something in religion that there's just no solution. It's like you're either good or you're bad.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like you did this wrong, you didn't follow it, so you need to be disciplined or punished, and so uh, I had this really warped idea of what good and bad was, and even once, I was living on my own and traveling and doing all these particular things, it was just like I no longer needed people to tell me that I was doing something good or bad. It was just like if I was doing something outside of what traditionally maybe would be approved of,
Mhm,
I would just do things that made me feel shameful. I would just feel horrible about it. And I had friends that were just doing all these things, they were enjoying their lives, but it was just for me it was just a lot of criticism internally that I had to really work to overcome, and I still am.
mhm. Yeah, I feel what you're saying too about, like, it's almost like you can feel the judgment of what's good or bad even way after it's been properly instilled in you. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like it keeps going with you, over and over. And I really kind of resonate with people who have kind of been through that, because I think that's like it's hard to explain one, but if you haven't been through that growing up, it's hard to even kind of replicate, because it's
Mhm.
like sometimes they are telling you this is good and this is bad, and sometimes it's like indirect and something that is normal for everybody else.
Yeah.
You're like, why do I feel like when I was younger, it was war to go to a school dance. Mind you, I was mad ugly. So I wasn't
Stop.
no one dancing with me in the first place. I'm going to the dance to just kick up. Like, I'm not involved in the first place. But I had to scheme and beg. And it's like I know that in my dad's head, when I said school dance, he's thinking of like Project X, like methamphetamine everywhere, like
Right.
Breaking Bad, strippers, like,
Mhm.
and I'm like, it's a school dance and no one wants to dance with me. So you're actually very safe, like
Right.
I might as well be a chaperone. But it still is like that. And then it's like getting older. Like there was a long time just like going out to like something simple, not too crazy, and
Mhm.
I'm feeling guilty about it. And it's like my friend's birthday,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm out late. Like this is so
Yeah.
that's something that like I feel like carries like a long time with you, and I'm happy that I guess this album helps you deal with that.
Yeah, and I think that there's like a humor to it. There's like a humor and a darkness, to growing up in an overly religious space. And I mean, there are probably people who are gonna hear this and gonna be like, don't talk bad about religion. And it's like, no, I'm not talking bad about religion. It's about talking about our experiences. Like dating was the thing for me. It was like I was raised to believe that the person that you date is the person you're gonna marry,
What?
and it's crazy. It's just like so you start going on dates and you start looking for husband material and husband qualities when you're like, and you start to realize and you start acting out of having these expectations for someone that's supposed to be ready,
Yeah.
and it takes slowly breaking these things down because this is normal. And once you're like, "Oh, this is actually, like, ridiculous, like, this is not a reasonable expectation that you should have
Crazy.
for anyone." But
Crazy.
but dances, the way that you dress, like, I grew up with friends that could wear whatever they wanted. They were wearing those, the Brazilian jeans and,
Yeah.
the
Throwback.
hey, just the pants with, like, the writing on the back, and it was, like, skirts and little tops, and I
What?
used to have to try to sneak them out of the house, because I was like, "I just need to show a little," but even when I did that, I would go back because I was like, "Oh, no, this is bad," so it's just like, that's the humorous side of it, and then there's
Mhm,
just the actual side that, like, you see people dating and having fun and going out and partying, and
mhm.
you grew up just believing that this is wrong, and so even getting to the process of feeling comfortable enough to date openly is just a hard thing.
I think openly is a perfect way to put it, because even when I was dating, I'd meet other people who like came up in a similar background.
Mhm.
We're almost both breaking the rules, like we're both two grown people out could do whatever we want, and we're in our minds. It's like we broke out the house. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's funny because that affects how you do everything else going forward. It's like you
Yeah.
can't separate that and then still move freely. You know, so the actions might be one thing, but how you felt about doing that, what led to it, is
Mhm.
still tied in what you came up thinking. And it's like, I have a little brother, he's 17.
Mm.
Yeah, 17. And so he's getting to the age where it's changing for him right now and he's growing up.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to make sure like everything that I didn't know was normal till I was like whatever age and you know, I'm
Right.
like, yo, listen, this is normal. You cool. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You got drunk one time, it's fine. You gonna
Mm.
live. It's
Yeah.
not the end of the world. Because, you know, in the moment, it's not gonna feel like that with the pressure going on. So those things that you kind of grow up with
Yeah.
take a long time to go. They'll disappear. They take a long time.
Like a while. And I almost want to ask you about Halloween.
Oh my God.
Like,
You know.
like, what age was it in which you were allowed to actually dress up for Halloween?
It's how I know you know. I'm telling you all a crazy Halloween story. Oh my God. So Halloween was a no-go. Like anyone who comes from this life, no matter what religion brought you to this life, you know Halloween was a no-go. So Halloween, I was either in church or at home.
Mhm.
Never dressed up. At school, never dressed up. And as I got older, I started going to parties, but I couldn't dress up still because so I'm there just tucking in my shirt and I'm a nerd. You know what I'm saying? With a full beard and everything, like just looking ridiculous. And the first time we trick-or-treated was, I think I was in grade 11.
Mm.
We only did it because like a group of us were all in the same boat of like, can't trick or treat. You know, my brother was with us, like, you
Right.
know, so we're like, okay, we're about to get too old to do this. So if we don't do this now, and we look to like, I've been this tall since I was forever. So this is me, my cousin 6'3", next dude got a chin strap. So we're all
Right.
trick-or-treating. None of us in costume. I took the string from my robe, tied it around my waist, said I'm a present. That's it. That's it. That's the first and only time I trick or treated. That's the first and only time. So Halloween's a no go. That long story short, Halloween was a no go.
That is so, and I feel like so my experience was similar but a little different.
Mm-hmm.
I went to predominantly like white schools,
Mm-hmm.
so it was the majority of kids. Like I went to a school like in the middle of Kensington Market,
Mm-hmm.
and so there were probably like maybe like 6 black kids,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and then we progressed to maybe like 20. And so I think my mom also got to a point where she's like, I don't want her to stand out anymore, you know, because it was like
Oh.
Halloween was happening, everyone was dressing up. And I was just like, you know, Halloween's evil. You're not allowed. And I was like, but wait a minute, this is normal. And so the first Halloween that my mom let me actually dress up for, she made an agreement. She was like, it has to be something positive.
Okay.
So I was allowed to be a princess. I was allowed to be a cat. And the cat, like the cat was the first one where like I didn't tell my mom that I was going out for Halloween, but I got a stocking and filled it with stuff. And I was out of the house and I put my costumes together and went trick-or-treating. And I didn't actually tell her. I just said I was like going to a friend's house. And so I feel like
Wow.
we've had to like create these
Wow.
costumes and just, but yeah, Halloween was one that you don't realize. You're like, oh, this is like everyone now. I'm like a Halloween. Like
Yeah.
I get body painted. I'm like, you give me a Marvel character and I will be all of them, you know. But it's
I was about to ask about that because Halloween now is like a social media holiday.
yeah,
And you kill Halloween.
yeah,
And it's like, I think it's like people probably take that for granted.
yep,
You know, that you can even do that. So it's like even something like that's that like Halloween is not that serious. Like, no offense to Halloween and
yeah.
people who are Halloween people,
Mm.
but it is not that serious. Like there are people dying all over the world,
Yeah.
and Halloween is not that serious. But people take it for granted because there's people like us who are also privileged,
Mhm.
who Halloween was like, and that's what's crazy is because we're scheming, lying to our parents for Halloween. Like for Halloween.
But I think it's bigger than that because for one,
Mhm.
yes, I'm a Halloween fanatic because Halloween allows me to like bring out my inner theater kid.
Mhm.
I am like absolutely I can be and do whatever I want without having to explain it to anyone. You know, I will be Mystique. I will be Dot from Reboot. I will be Marge Simpson. I will find a way. You know, I'm that person. However, I feel like Halloween and the whole like the lying and the figuring out a way to go out with your friends is it's like my mom wasn't like a 10 in strictness. I
Mhm.
think I was also the youngest in my family, so she was strict on that regard.
Mhm.
But I think the Christian beliefs were instilled in her, and a part of the wanting to like not tell the truth and the wanting to go out with your friends and just it's just you want to have a sense of normal that other people
Mhm.
have.
Mhm.
Um, and you also just don't want to feel like everything is evil.
That's a good way to put it. You know, like everything is evil. I remember there was a party I got invited to. This is when in middle school when getting invited to a boy girl party meant you were the shit. And I made it to that list. I was one of the boys at the girl party. I was like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
And it was a big deal in middle school. I'm trying to tell my mom, this is like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, my mom is there like, a party with mostly women? There's no way.
Oh.
And I'm like, at least let me get started. So you're right. It's like not feeling like everything is bad is huge. And I think that like even going forward, there's just so much things that at least myself, I enjoy so much more that I'm not thinking that I'm like breaking the law by doing this thing, you know? So now that is huge. I had a question about 723. Why I know in the song you say like I'm telling you 723 times, but why 723? That's a lot of times you're telling someone anything.
Yeah.
So why 723?
I
don't know.
like,
let's not name names.
I'm trying to and I knew naming it that and having that number in there, like people are gonna ask because people ask me all the time and I'm like, yeah, so 723 is my birthday. My birthday is July 23rd.
Okay.
And the song is about my father.
Mm-hmm.
I unfortunately had a father that wasn't the most positive. He also had really problematic behavior. And so it does get a little bit dark in that, like, I did come into the world, like, without having a parent that wanted me there.
Mm-hmm.
And so 723, the title of it is really about forgiving a parent that was supposed to want and love you, but that didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And they should have done that when you were coming into the world, and unfortunately they didn't. And so the title is really just about, like, it's 723 forgiveness. It's about forgiving you for not valuing and allowing me to be seen. And that's kind of what it means to me.
I stood out to me because it's a song about forgiveness. And I feel like there's like as much songs there are about love, there's not that many songs about forgiveness.
Yeah.
And like forgiveness is something that doesn't always have to be about something romantic.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting to me that you made like a full song about forgiveness, because we talked about social media. Social media today is telling everybody I ain't forgiving nobody. That is like the algorithm. It's like if you even look at me the wrong way, I will never forgive you.
Yeah.
And it's like forgiveness is not cool anymore.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very, very, and I guess again knowing you, I like to hear that, but it's rare that people talk about forgiveness in any way.
The thing about it is, like, what's really tricky about that song for me is, like, when I originally wrote it, it was just like, yeah, I'm gonna forgive you and move on. But it's like, that's not how forgiveness has been for me. I haven't, I don't know how like, I wish that I could just pray and meditate, you know, which is what your parent, you know, you're taught, you're like, go pray. My mom would be like, go pray about it. I'd be like, Mom, and she'd be like, they just tell you to pray about it and let it go away. And so I used to pray and pray and pray. And I'd be like, why?
Mom, I'm still thinking about it, Mom.
Like, why do I still hate this person? You know? And so, and I know hate's a strong word, but like there are people in this world that just do horrible things and you really want to forgive them. But it's like, it is a process. And so 723 is also about my process. One of the lyrics is like, I'll forgive you, or at least I'll try. And it's just that I was never able to forgive people on the first try. It was forgiving and journaling and meditating, and then resentment coming back up and anger coming back up. And then, you know, me keep taking distance from them and me thinking that I'm over it, but I'm just empowered. And then me realizing that I'm just angry. So it's just, I think it's just about that process and understanding that forgiveness is a cycle. It's not just like an action.
Yeah, what you said about forgiveness on the first try, that hit me because you're right. It's not just a one and done. Like, yeah, I went and journaled about it one time. We're good. You know, like, and what you said about stuff coming back, that's why I think forgiveness it's in general underrated, like in general, but especially on social media, because forgiveness is an ongoing thing. You know, like the people in my life that I've forgiven, it's like I've forgiven you up until this point and how I feel right now. If something triggers another thought, maybe I'll forgive you less. Or if you do something that reminds me of that time, the forgiveness might be a little less than it was before. But it's like you're kind of always working to be better at forgiving. So it's like I like that you said that about it's not like that first time forgiveness. Whoever has those keys, I'm right here. Like AjoSmiley.com. hit me up.
DomaniqueGrant.com.
Like, like that when you said that, I was like, I don't have those skills. That ain't me.
And I feel like the other thing is like I used to get angry about it because it's just like, why can't I just forgive this person? And I think that when you're someone who gives a lot and you put other people first, it's like when people do horrible things or they do things that aren't okay, it like hits you differently because you're just like, you had no reason to do this. And so I was the kid, like as a child, I was like the ugly crier kid,
Oh.
who like if someone there's this one memory, and this is just a little example. I was a kid, I was like, how old was I? I think I was 7. And I used to love balloons.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know why I'm going into this story, but I think someone will connect with it. I used to love balloons, and I had really thick glasses. I looked nothing like I did. I was really shy. I was a target. I was like a target for any
A
person.
target.
It was terrible. Like my siblings had to look out for me.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so we had balloon day, and it was the most exciting day for me. And I got this balloon with helium because helium just made me so happy as a kid. And I was in a field and I was playing. And this grade 6 came over and grabbed the balloon from me and released it into the air and laughed.
That's real bullying.
Like, that's some bullshit. This is, and I think back to this because like when you think back to childhood things that happened to you when you were like, why did they do that?
I feel like this just happened. The way you're saying it, like it looks happened 2 weeks ago.
It's absolutely crazy. But that's what I mean. It's just like it's the randomest story, but I feel like anyone right now can think back to one moment when you were a kid when there was that one asshole bully that for whatever reason they went out of their way to be an asshole. And for me, and I'm sorry if I'm not supposed to be using any vulgar language, but that was really what I don't know how I got into this off of this song, but it's just the point of like when people do things, it hurts a little different. And I think a part of forgiveness is learning how to, and the album for me is actually learning how to heal. It's like when you date someone who you really wanted to love and you gave them everything, but because they were insecure, they hurt you. You have to figure out a way to forgive them. And it just hurts for a really long time. And although you've prayed, although you've meditated, it's like, I just am someone, I've had to learn how to move beyond the hurt faster and to get to the forgiveness stage faster and to get to working at that.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. And I think that's something we all try and at least get to is like that hurt stage, how either you get past it quicker or how you deal with it to get to the healing stage kind of, shows you where you're going to end up. Before we get into our cool table questions we ask everybody, I always try to make it similar to sports. I've always said sports is the key to life in this way. In sports, what you have to do is clear. People don't know what they want to do with their life sometimes, what their goals are, what their mission is. In sports, it's clear. We play together, we win a championship. And then next year, we try to do the same thing. So everything you do is for what? To win the championship. And if someone gets injured or a play happens, you say, that's part of the game. And the goal doesn't change. Now, in life, it doesn't always feel that way. And something may happen and your goals may feel different. You're not the same person. You don't know what you're striving for anymore. But in sports, it's like so much more straightforward. And so I feel like if we can give ourselves that little bit of leeway, because in sports, some crazy things happen and someone goes, people getting injured all the time. Anything can happen. It's the refs, you know? And life has some of those same similarities, but you don't do that for life. So let's try and think of life like the Raptors, think of it as sports. This one, you were talking a bit before we started recording, trying to get your little list together. So now is the time to piss some people off by not naming them. They say the top 5 people in your life help make you who you are. Top 5 people in life, the most important people in your life, and help define what your future is going to be. So your top 5 can be a 2 or your top 5 could be a 10. What are the top 5 people in your life who help you be you?
You asking this again. Like, I thought that there would be more clarity, and I'd be like, oh, yeah. But I'm still like, well, first I'd say that I don't have a big circle. I know a lot of people, but I don't have a big circle. And so I'd say the top of my list, my siblings are at the top. My siblings are like, we were raised to just 100% support each other through everything. And it's, we have our fights and whatnot, but they are always there for me. So I'd say my siblings are at the top. My mom, is definitely up there as well too. My partner, my boyfriend, he's like the most incredible and most supportive person. He's hardworking. He's really doing some big things across Canada and the world in the industry that he works in. And so I'm grateful to be around him because he works in a slightly different industry. And I'm not getting too particular because I don't
Mhm.
want people to go online and bother me about it. But the industry that he works in, he literally is like reshaping things. And he's just taught me a lot about perseverance and how to keep pushing and all of those particular things. I'd say my business manager is another one. He was one of the first people that was like, absolutely, you're worth way more than this. And whenever
Mm.
I'm, trying to sell myself short or trying to make decisions that are short term, he's always the person that's like, uh, you know, no. So Donovan, big shout out to you. Um, and then I'd say like, I feel like there are a lot of other people, that are a part of this. I have, close family friends that are really close to me. So I feel like there's just a bunch of other ones, but there's one other, family friend. He was like a father figure, growing up, and
Mhm.
and he was a part of that. But I'd say overall that like my most of my friends are kind of are like family, so I think that those would probably be the top 5.
Mhm. Yeah, that might I love asking this question because someone's top 5 says a lot about kinda who they are and how they operate, and as well, like, when you think about your top 5, it really speaks a lot about who you are. The same way you said about relationships. Like, someone I think about a lot of my top 5 is my mom.
Yeah.
My mom is, A1, day 1, top 2, not 2. And she always lets me know about things that I'm doing that are kinda like her, and she'll be like, "Cut that out."
Right.
She's like, "Get some sleep. What are you doing? Like, you don't gotta be up working. Go to sleep," you
Yeah.
know? And like the top of people around you, everyone kind of has that thing that they know you for or that you do similar to them. And it's
Yeah.
like you want the people around you who it's like, "Oh, I would love to behave like you,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So that's why I asked that question is like those people that just can rub off on you
Yeah.
and make you an even better person. We're gonna take it into a less serious note with this question. And I'm very interested to see your answer for this one. You are extremely creative. You talked about, your prowess as a Halloween princess. So this question is right up your alley. Now, again, I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules. Let me make that clear. Okay. When people get $100 million, they buy exotic animals.
Mhm.
Okay. Michael Jackson with his monkey, Justin Bieber with his monkey, Mike Tyson with his tiger. You get $100 million, you had to buy an animal. So when you get to $100 million, what animal are you going to be adding to the family?
That's a good question. Oh, that's a good question. I'm an animal person. I love animals. Um, I feel like my answer is gonna be so unpractical, which is why I'm like, I don't wanna say it because people are like, "How you gonna have that?"
That's the whole point. It's $100 million.
Yeah.
You can afford it.
So I think that there are a couple. I don't have one. You're not gonna get a single answer out of me. I'm gonna tell you the animals that I would love to just have around me on a daily basis. The first is an elephant.
Okay.
Elephants have the emotional intelligence. I think it's even beyond human beings. And so I have always wanted to just work in an elephant orphanage. They're just such beautiful creatures. They're so loving. And not like ride an elephant because there's a whole bunch of issues with that, but
Mhm.
like just elephants as creatures, they're loving. But baby elephants, like if you ever see how playful baby elephants are, you're just like, you would just wholeheartedly light my soul up every day. So I feel like an elephant would be one. A dolphin.
Okay.
Dolphins are loud and make a whole bunch of noise, but dolphins are also just very intelligent and very smart. And I would just love to swim with dolphins. I know this is such a like commercial answer. And then the third, I love horses.
Okay. Okay.
And I don't know if horses are exotic or if they'd be considered exotic. I think they might be like, but I love horses. I want horses at some point, but I think at the top of my list would be I want a little village of elephants.
Elephants are good vibes. So I'm with you. Elephants are good vibes. Dolphins are also good vibe. I feel like you got all the good vibe animals for sure. And I would say they're all pretty safe. Like I used to work with horses. So horses are always
Yep.
always
Did you
great.
work with horses?
Yeah, not directly closely, but like I worked for a broadcast that we broadcast the
Okay.
horses,
Cool.
and yeah, there's some crazy creatures, man. They're huge,
Yeah.
which is like scary at first,
Yeah.
but once you kind of get to know them, you're like, nah, they're not so bad.
They are so my friend, one of my old band members, she has horses on her property and
Damn.
like but also it's like those are goals just to have,
Hmm.
acres where you can just ride your horses
Oh, God.
outside. It's amazing. But when you get up and close to a horse and you just touch it, there's something so beautiful
Mhm.
because they're so statuesque. But if a horse doesn't mess with you, like it doesn't mess with you. And it's the same with elephants and dolphins. I think that's
Mm.
maybe why I like the three of them is it's like they connect with energy. And so if they don't like your energy, they're not like, "Oh, I'm just going to
Mhm.
like let you be my owner." Like elephants will disown your ass and like dolphins and horses like if you just come with negative energy, they're just like, absolutely not.
Yeah. And I think that's why they're a good 3 because they also bring the good energy.
Yeah.
Like, people I know who have met elephants, that sounds like a weird sentence, but people I know who have
Yeah.
met elephants, they say that is right about the good energy, so I'm co-signing that. Dolphins, here's the thing, I'm not always with the loud animals.
Dolphins are a little annoying.
Dolphins can get
Annoying.
annoying
Yeah.
and loud. It's all love though, for sure, comes from a good
Yeah.
place, but it still can get loud. But listen, I think $100 million, you could afford all 3 of these things.
That's
So
accurate.
that's kind of the whole point of the question. We couldn't get this camera to work. It's just not happening for me.
Okay.
It was blinking the whole time and then stopped. So
Wait, what's your animal?
this is not about me. What's my
Adriel,
animal?
you have to have one.
I've
I
ne-
gave you 3.
I've never even no one's asked me. So I've never even thought of this. What animal would I want? Oh man, I just love water, so I feel like I'd have to choose something water based. But I also don't trust animals. Like, like I'm Jamaican, I've been in Jamaica mad times. Like, I just, as much as you can domesticate an animal, I'm like, it's an animal. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, if here's the thing, if we had to kill to get our food, just in general,
Okay.
not just each person, because we might have someone in the family do that for you.
Right.
If we had to kill to get our food, that's just ingrained in you.
Okay.
Some of these animals who have to kill to get their food, like they don't eat other than that. So
Yeah.
it's not like killing you is like, oh, I'm doing the worst thing ever.
Right.
It's like, it's me or you.
Mhm.
So, having that mentality, I feel like scares me.
Right.
Just knowing that they could take it there. Maybe I'm watching too much murder mysteries,
A
but
little bit. But I mean, it's your experience, so
yeah, I don't. Okay. You know what? I'll say this. I would say a monkey because
okay.
I do really like dogs,
Mhm.
and I feel like a monkey would be like,
Yeah.
the mix between a dog and a baby.
And monkeys are like a monkey would be a dope. Like it would just like well, actually monkeys are smart though. Like I'm thinking of Planet of the Apes. See, this is why we need to stop watching movies. This is the problem here.
Caesar, no.
I know it's so sad. It's just so emotional. You're like Caesar, what? But monkeys are a level of intelligence that
Mhm.
like if they ever switch, good luck.
This is my
But the problem is like one there are animals that are wonderful. Like I mean, if we
yes,
you
yes,
know,
yes.
so I don't know.
No, it's 100% an irrational fear. Like,
Yeah,
let's not get it twisted here. Irrational,
this is a Caribbean fear. Like this is
and you know why it's dumb because in Jamaica
the dogs.
the dogs are very different.
I knew you were gonna talk about the dogs.
No, this like you're not finding Airbud in Jamaica. Like
No.
like you're not finding Beethoven in Jamaica.
You're
It's
finding Airbud's long lost second removed cousin.
Airbud's cousin who's on drugs
Right.
is what you're finding in Jamaica.
Yeah.
But I feel like those dogs do have some kind of loyalty, and I don't like to think it's as simple as I feed you, you treat me nice.
No.
I don't think that with people. I don't think that with animals. So I feel like if we can't do more for them, then we're in trouble. So
Yeah, I have some I have Jamaican dog trauma. Like I was chased by a dog
yeah,
anyway, we won't even go
yeah.
there. But I'm like, there's a root to this, and absolutely.
when we talk for Dom, we'll talk about the Jamaican dog
Yeah.
trauma.
Sounds good.
This is the last one, and I'm really sad that we can't have this written out on the on the photo, but we'll do this when you come
Okay.
back. We do a segment on the show called Wednesday Wisdom. Now, is there a quote or a saying that either you share with yourself or with people around you when someone's feeling down or just needs a little bit of a pick me up? Is there a quote that you always try and remember?
Hmm. Yeah. There's a new one actually that I learned, and it's that everything that you have, that you do, and that you experience right now that's normal, at one point was a goal of yours
Mm.
and is something that someone else wants. So
That was a big bar. That was a big bar. That's important to remember. I saw a clip Terry Crews talking about all his notes he had written of his goals over the years, and he'll
Mhm.
go back and read them and be like, I did all that. I
Yeah.
did all that. Like, that's important to remember,
Yeah.
like you seeing it's like I say about your younger self. Like if your younger self saw you now, they
Mhm.
would be impressed. They would be impressed.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think that's a huge one. Thank you for joining us. Can you show the people how much of the ice cream you got done?
I
Obviously,
got I got half, and I'm gonna finish it. It's a little creamy.
yeah, cheater, cheater, pumpkin eater. You started before we started.
Don't judge me. I just really wanted the apple pie. I told you don't bring apple pie in here if you don't expect me to follow rules. And so, but thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. Go out and check out Queen Dom. Chapter 1 is Queen. Chapter 2 comes out in the fall, and just want to say thank you for everyone's support, but also thank you for having me here. Thank you for the well thought out questions, and I really can't wait to share this music with the world.
And get it on your Instagram. Obviously, will be in the description of this, but Instagram is where you got to follow Dom. All this, a lot of stuff that we talked about. If you want to see some visuals to what we explained, where can they find you on Instagram?
Yeah, so I'm at Doma Grant. It's DOMAGRANT, and everything else is at Domanique Grant, DOMANIQUEGRANT. Please go out and stream, download, listen, and let me know what you think of the new EP. I cannot wait to share Queendom/Queendom with you. And yeah.
Please get in touch with yourself and listen to the EP. Get your life together, and please make sure you're subscribed to us. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe to us. Leave us a rating and a review. 5 stars, not a single star less. The Cool Table, of course, is every Wednesday at 11 a.m. on CJRU 1280 a.m. in Toronto. All episodes of The Cool Table are at adrielsmiley.com. And of course, until next time, know yourself, know your worth.